everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am Abhisha Gulati and I am teaching you chapter number 1 of class 12 psychology, variations in psychological attributes. This is the third part of the chapter. अगर आपने इससे पहले के 2 parts नहीं देखे हैं तो please go and check them out first. Now हमने अभी तक सारी स्ट्रक्चरल अप्रोच की थ्योरीज कर ली थी. साइकोमेट्रिक अप्रोच की जो 5 थ्योरीज थी, फर्स्ट थ्योरी वाज वन फैक्टर थ्योरी, सेकंड थ्योरी वाज टू फैक्टर थ्योरी, थर्ड थ्योरी वाज theory of primary mental abilities, fourth theory was the hierarchical model by Arthur Jennison, and fifth one was structural model of intelligence. हमने ये 5 theories कर ली हैं. अब हम करने वाले हैं theories of information processing approach, right? Now theories of information processing approach में 3 theories आती है. First is theories of information processing approach में 3 theories आती है. First is theory of multiple intelligences, second is triarchic model, and the third is pass model. तो सबसे पहले हम theory of multiple intelligences करते हैं. Now, there was a belief by several psychologists that intelligence is more related to your knowledge, analytical thinking, but theory of multiple intelligence was one of the first theories which talked about कि intelligence can be of different kinds. Intelligence can be if you process different types of information in different ways. For example, if you are very good in recognizing the rhythms or the sounds of a music beat, if you are very good in understanding or imagining the phenomena of time and space, then these are all intelligence. These are all part of your intelligence. These are all part of your intelligence, but there are different kinds of them. So Howard Gardner proposed the theory of multiple intelligences. According to Howard Gardner, so many people felt like Alfred Binet talked about that intelligence is just one similar set of abilities. Howard Gardner said no. Intelligence is not a single entity. Intelligence can be of different types, and each type of intelligence is independent of each other. Mark it for a 1 mark question. Okay, each type of intelligence is independent of each other. For example, if you're high on your musical side, that does not have any relation with your maybe your naturalistic intelligence or your logical reasoning. तो दोनों या किसी भी इसके जो 8 टाइप्स ऑफ इंटेलिजेंसेस हैं उसमें किसी का कोरिलेशन नहीं है किसी से. ठीक है, they all are independent of each other. A question can come MCQ form में कि are they independent or are they interdependent, so you should know. Okay, now to devise this, Gardner studied extensively a lot of talented people who showed exceptional abilities in their respective fields, and then he devised 8 types of intelligences. Okay, the first type is linguistic intelligence. Now linguistic, from the word lingo means language, so linguistic means intelligence in terms of language or your verbal ability. Okay, so linguistic intelligence is your intelligence, your capacity to use your language fluently, as quickly as possible, as flexibly as possible. You use whatever words that are coming to your mind as quickly as possible. You are able to form sentences, you are able to form words, you are able to devise the meaning of a reading comprehension probably. So people who are high on this intelligence, they are called word smart. So an example of people who are high on this intelligence is people like authors, poets, people who write a lot, maybe proofreaders. So mostly a question comes, so an example is given to you in exam. For example, ABC person is a poet and is word smart. Which kind of intelligence, according to Howard Gardner, does he or she or they have? So that person has linguistic intelligence. So such questions can very well come. So you should understand this concept, especially now because सब कुछ अब MCQ format में हो गया है. ठीक है, B part, logical mathematical reason. Logical and mathematical intelligence. Now these are the intelligences. This intelligence means your capacity to understand logical information, your capacity to understand numerical information, mathematical information. These are your skills that are helping you in your problem solving and decision making. Now, people who are high on this intelligence, they usually engage in abstract reasoning, and they can manipulate symbols to solve mathematical problems. So they can use a lot of symbols like plus, minus, divide, sigma, such symbols to solve their mathematical problems. Some examples are scientists, Nobel Prize winners, like someone like Albert Einstein was very high on logical mathematical intelligence. Another example could be mathematicians, mathematics teachers, people who are engaged in statistics and calculation work. They all are high in logical mathematical intelligence. Okay, now let's move forward. Okay, spatial intelligence. Now comes spatial intelligence. Now, the word spatial comes from the word space. Okay, so space. Those people who are very good, who have the ability to understand the the dimensions, to understand the features and quality of space and time, they have very high spatial intelligence. Okay, so people who are who have those skills of forming, using, and transforming mental images. If I tell you an apple, a mental image of the apple comes to your mind. People, if I tell you, if I explain you, if I describe the structure of a whole new monument I want to build up, for example, in front of you, and if you are able to imagine that, if you're able to use, form, and transform these mental images, then you are high on spatial intelligence. They This intelligence helps them to represent the spatial world in the mind, जो हमारे सामने है उसको imagine करने के लिए. Pilots, sailors, sculptors who see just a picture and then they draw a 3D version of that. Painters, architects, interior designers, surgeons, even surgeons. Why? Because even in the smallest bit of surgery, they have to keep in mind what is which organ are they operating on, which tool are they using on. So space has a very important feature to it. And often a one mark question comes that which kind of intelligence are surgeons high on? So they're high on spatial intelligence. Okay. Now musical intelligence. So, musical intelligence basically means that your capacity to produce, create, and manipulate musical patterns. Are you able to produce different patterns in front of you? If I give you just one beat of sound, can you produce multiple patterns from that? Can you create different songs? Maybe you can create different lyrics, and can you manipulate those? If I tell you just try that one, just try reducing the volume, increasing the volume, can you manipulate the sounds? If you can, then you're high on musical intelligence. Now, people high on this intelligence are very sensitive to sounds and vibrations. Even if you play the slightest of sound in front of them, they are very sensitive to it. Okay. And some examples could be people who are music composers, people who are musicians, people who are lyricists, people who are singers, etc. Now, the fifth kind of intelligence is bodily kinesthetic intelligence. Bodily kinesthetic. Body is your body, and kinesthetic means anything that is related to movement. Okay, the word kinesthetic means anything that is related to movement. So, bodily kinesthetic intelligence talks about how are you able to make the use of your body in representing anything you want, or in problem solving. How are you able to use portions or whole of your body to construct products and solve problems? For example, athletes use their body to run, use their body to perform different stunts, perform different activities altogether. Dancers may use their whole or part of body to, in a very creative manner, to solve different problems that come in front of them. By problems, I don't mean that there is a very problem is like an issue. Problem is any challenge that comes in front of you in your environment. Now comes interpersonal and intrapersonal intelligence. First of all, many students get confused between these two words. These two words are completely different. Now, how to remember what are they? Okay, interpersonal means so the word inter means two people, okay, and the word intra means one people. So in the word intra, you can say there is an A, okay? So intra. So A as a as an article, a tree, a book. So ऐसे आप बोलते हो ना, तो ऐसे याद रखो कि a means one. So intra means singular. Intra means your own. Okay. So first let's understand inter. Inter means two or more. So what this means is interpersonal intelligence means that your capacity, your ability to understand the other person, to understand the emotions, feelings, thoughts, activities of others. So interpersonal, inter means other, like two or more people. So what is your ability to understand the motives, feelings, and behaviors of other person, and how comfortably are you able to make relationship with them? Psychologists, counselors, politicians, social workers, religious leaders, they all are high in interpersonal intelligence. For example, if uh, if you go to a shop and you have to buy 10 okay, you have to buy one, maybe one watch, and there are 10 watches in front of you. Now, the salesman will explain you uh, the features of the 10 different watches, but if the salesman wants you to buy one particular watch, then the salesman will uh, understand what is your motive behind buying it, what are your feelings, how are you behaving, and then the salesman will pitch in. So, in this situation, in this particular situation, the salesman is high on interpersonal intelligence. Another example could be if you go to a politician, how politicians give speeches, how politicians assure uh, people that they will do the betterment, they will work for the betterment of people. So, this is how interpersonal intelligence works. Now comes intrapersonal intelligence, second last of this. So, intrapersonal intelligence is our awareness of our own motives, desires. Own. Means one person, that one person is you. So, are you able to understand your own feelings, your own motives, your own desires? Are you able to understand your own strengths and limitations? If yes, then you're high on intrapersonal intelligence. And people who are high on interpersonal intelligence have a great knowledge of themselves. If you talk about monks, if you talk about therapists, even therapists, psychologists, philosophers, great spiritual leaders, they all are high on intrapersonal intelligence. Basically, your capability to understand your own motives, your own behavior, your own qualities. Now, the last type of intelligence that comes in front of us is naturalistic intelligence. So, the naturalistic intelligence was proposed later in this theory around like 1990s, and this was like the last part of this theory. Also, a ninth type of intelligence has been proposed, but it has not been included, so we'll not talk about it. Now, this eighth type of intelligence, naturalistic intelligence. So, this means your capacity to understand your surroundings, to understand the natural world around you. How sensitive are you to the features of the natural world? Can you differentiate between two similar looking birds? Can you differentiate between flora, fauna? Can you understand uh, which tree belongs to, maybe which tree belongs to this season, which tree doesn't, which fruit grows in this seasons, and can you make subtle discriminations? Discriminations here means that can you differentiate between simple things in the natural world? If you can, then you're high on naturalistic intelligence. people who are hunters, people who are farmers, tourists, botanists, zoologists, bird watchers, they all are high on naturalistic intelligence. Even if you give 2 to 3 examples, that would be fine. Now, the second theory under this model, under the information processing approach, is triarchic theory of intelligence. Okay. Now, what does the word triarchic mean? The word triarchic means three. Okay. Triarchic means three. So triarchic yani three. So there are three components of this triarchic theory. Robert Sternberg in 1985, again a 1 mark question, very easy to remember. 1985, if you write it 2 to 3 times, you will recall. Robert Sternberg in 1985 devised this intelligence. And how did he define intelligence? So, Robert Sternberg said the intelligence is the ability to adapt, shape, and select your environment to accomplish your goals and the goals of your society and culture. So, what did he say? Intelligence is your ability to adapt, your ability to shape, adapt, just adapt it, just deal with what is happening in the environment. I'll give you an example. If uh, if in the last video I give this example, so let's continue with that. If the weather is too cold, if the weather is too hot, you just adapt to it. You just try to bear the hot weather. And the second is shape. So you go and buy an air conditioner, or select. You probably go and shift to another city altogether. Why do you do so? So intelligence is the ability to adapt, shape, and select the environment. Why? To accomplish your goals or to accomplish the goals of the society. Another example, if you want to become a doctor, so you adapt whatever colleges there available for you, you take that. Or you shape, you go and talk to your professors, you make a personalized maybe make a personalized course of your own, or maybe just negotiate and shape your own environment. Or maybe you select, you go to another city altogether. So according to Sternberg, intelligence refers to the ability to adapt, shape, and select your environment. Why? To accomplish your goals and the goals of your society and the goals of your culture. So you can very well remember this. Also, 1 mark question can come that this definition would be given to you. Who gave this definition? Okay. तो ट्रायर्किक थ्योरी के अंदर आते हैं 3 टाइप्स ऑफ इंटेलिजेंसेस. फर्स्ट इज कॉम्पोनेंशियल, सेकंड इज एक्सपीरियंशियल एंड थर्ड इज कंटेक्चुअल. तो एक बार सबको अच्छे से समझते हैं. सबसे पहले आता है कॉम्पोनेंशियल इंटेलिजेंस. नाउ आई वांट यू टू इमेजिन दैट देयर इज अ रोबोट. ओके, नाउ अ रोबोट, mostly what happens is a robot, you tell the robot to analyze some information, the robot analyzes that information for you, and the robot maybe processes it, breaks it down into different components and then solves your problem. For example, हमने robot में feed किया 2+2, तो robot ने उसको 2+2 is equal to 4 करके आपको दे दिया. So componential intelligence is similar to that. So componential intelligence is basically your ability to analyze information, to break down whatever information is available to you into different parts and then to solve your problems. So people who are high on this intelligence think very analytically and think critically, and mostly they succeed in school. So 1 mark question here comes. Also, componential intelligence is also called analytical intelligence. Okay. So componential intelligence is also known as analytical intelligence. That is something that you should keep in mind. Now, componential intelligence gave 3 components, 3 parts. Okay. Now let's take an example and then understand. For example, you are learning swimming. Okay. First of all, you will gain all the knowledge. What is swimming? What are the equipments needed? What all precautions should be take place? You will find an instructor for you. You will go and see if different you know uh, tools are available. For example, you will buy your swimming costume. You will gain knowledge. You will understand the instructions given by your swimming instructor. So first part of this first component of this intelligence is knowledge acquisition, which means you are gaining knowledge, you are acquiring knowledge. Okay. This is responsible for your learning and the actual way of doing. What happens is when you acquire all the knowledge, okay, swimming happens, okay, you buy a swimming suit, you understand, okay, these are the different flips, these are okay. The second is you process them, you use your meta component. Meta means your higher order component. The word meta means higher order. Okay, so you use your meta component to understand, okay, this is how swimming works. You maybe try, you process information. And then third is performance component. So first you acquire knowledge, then you plan what to do next, how to swim, when to you make a schedule, maybe book some classes, maybe go and the third is performance. So three components of your componential intelligence is first you acquire knowledge acquisition, then you so first you acquire knowledge, that is knowledge acquisition. Then you perform your meta component, that is your planning. You plan and then you execute it or you perform. Okay. So these are the three components of componential intelligence. Now, the second is experiential intelligence. The word experiential tells us all. Experience से ये derive करा गया है. So experience. Now this means that how you are using your past experiences creatively to solve your new problems. For example, if your past experience with, if you have an experience in the field of, maybe you want to make a movie, okay, let's take an example. You want to make a movie, you have to write the script of that movie, you have to decide what is the storyline and plot of that movie. So you use your past experiences creatively and make a new story out of it to solve new problems. So this type of intelligence is also called as creative intelligence. You are creating out with the help of your past experiences. So people high on this intelligence solve new problems in a original way. They make new discoveries, new inventions. They quickly find out which information is very crucial for a particular situation. So this line is important. One mark question can come that people high on which intelligence quickly find out which information is highly crucial for them. Okay. Now contextual intelligence. What is context? Context is something that is happening at behind of us, background में जो है, ठीक है, context is your background. What is background? Background is culture, background is the environment. So intelligence, which involves your ability to deal with your environment, to deal with your culture, to deal with the society around you. How are you able to deal with the people around you? What is your ability to deal with the demands of the society? Your It's raining heavily, your umbrella breaks down. What is your intelligence? How will you manage in this situation? Or another example, if you want to pitch your anything, you have made a product, you've launched it, if you want to sell it to people, how are you selling it? What are your skills? So contextual intelligence is practical intelligence. It is also called as street smartness. You must have heard this word a lot, or business sense. And some people are very street smart. They know how to deal with others. They know how to deal with the problems that are coming in front of the environment. So people high on contextual intelligence are able to either adapt to their environment, either they'll adapt to the environment, whatever is present, or they will select a more favorable environment, or they will modify the environment to fit their needs. In this way, they turn out to be very successful. This is something that we should remember. Contextual intelligence is related to culture. How are you dealing with the culture? How are you dealing with the environment around you? It is the ability to deal with environmental demands that are encountered on a daily basis or an everyday basis. You encounter n number of demands. How are you dealing with it? It is also called street smartness and business sense. This comes for a one marker question, so remember that. Okay. Now, the third and the last theory under information processing model is the PASS model of intelligence. Okay, the PASS model of intelligence has been developed by J.P. Das, Jack Naglieri, and Kirby. These three people have developed it, and they developed it in 1994. So some important years that are given in your book are, firstly, Charles Spearman's theory to factor intelligence, that was 1927. Then it was your Guilford's model, 1988, I guess. Guilford's model was 1988. Then there was 1985 Sternberg's model, and then the past model is 1994. So you make a timeline, and it is very easy to remember. Just make a timeline. I'll give you a suggestion: make a timeline, stick that timeline in front of you, in front of your table, and just go through it, just see it at least once or twice a day. Or another example, write this in your notes as in the notes that are present in your phone. Make this a phone wallpaper for a day or two. Just unconsciously look at it, or maybe don't. If you, even if you do not look at it, you'll remember these years. Okay. And if you want me to make a separate video of how to remember dates, years, then let me know in the comment section down below. Now, according to this model, intellectual activity involves interdependent functioning of three neurological systems. So the past model of intelligence, planning, attention, arousal, simultaneous successive functioning, this model says that intellectual activity, whatever intelligence is involving interdependent functioning. So there are three separate neurological systems. There are three separate neurons and systems of neurons that are called functional unit of the brain. These three separate neurological systems are responsible for planning, attention arousal, simultaneous and successive processing. And these are responsible for your intellectual activity. So how are you processing information? The information processing model talks about, right, that how are you processing information. So they are saying you're processing the information with the help of these three neurological systems that are interdependent on each other. The word interdependent is very important. Again, these three neurological systems are called as functional units of the brain. Okay, now you learn this, what are exactly these three neurological systems. You'll learn this in your higher classes, or like if you go and pursue psychology in future. For right now, you just need to know that these three neurological systems are called functional unit of the brain. Okay, now what does this model talks about? This model, so let's not move to another slide. Let's take an example and I'll explain you this model entirely. So let's take an example that you have your exam tomorrow, or you have your exam the next week. Okay, your exam is next week. So what will happen is, first of all, the teacher tells you in class, okay, students, next week is your exam. So as soon as you hear that, your attention, first is your attention goes towards that exam. As you give attention to that, okay, first you get aroused. Okay, aroused is a heightened state of attention. So you get aroused. Okay, my exams are coming in a week. Then after arousal happens, you attend to that. You open your books, maybe you write down the syllabus, so you give your attention. As you have written your syllabus, you have given your attention, then what happens is that you process information. Maybe you simultaneously process it. Whatever teacher is saying, you simultaneously understand it. Okay, the teacher is talking about the exam, the teacher is telling you the syllabus. Your friend is probably saying that he or she has studied this chapter. Other friend might ask you doubts. You are processing this information simultaneously, all information all together. Okay, so the processing could be simultaneous. So your attention, I don't know why it's getting this here. Attention, then your simultaneous processing. Or you could just process this information successively, like one after the another. Right? If like first of all you'll process it that okay, my exam is coming, then you understand the dates, then you understand, so one after the other. After you have processed the information, now you will plan how to make notes. Maybe you will plan, you will make a timetable, you will plan schedule. So this is how it works, how you solve a problem according to the past model. Now let's understand it part by part. This was an overview of this. Okay. Now, the first is arousal and attention. First of all, what is arousal? Arousal refers to a heightened state of attention, something that arouses you. Okay, so state of arousal is very important. If you want to attend any stimulus, any stimuli, you arousal is very important. Okay, for sensation and attention to occur. Now, arousal and attention help you to process information. First, you will get aroused, and then, due to arousal, your attention will happen. Now, arousal, an optimal level of arousal is very important. If you get too much aroused, oh my god, the exam is coming on my head, I've not done anything, and you just jump out of your seat and just roam around in the class, get too much aroused, then that will help. That will interfere with your attention. If you get too little aroused, like nothing matters, what happens, what will happen, even if I'll have my exams, nothing matters, doesn't matter, then that will also interfere with your attention. You won't pay attention to your exams, right? Now, so optimal level of arousal is important for you to focus your attention on the problem that is coming in front of you. Okay. Now comes simultaneous and successive processing. Okay, so let's talk about first simultaneous processing, and then we'll talk about successive processing. Now, simultaneous processing takes place when you perceive the relations among the various concepts all together in an integrated and meaningful manner. For example, if for example, if different things are given in front of you, how are you perceiving them? I'll give you a picture, I'll draw a picture. How are you able to perceive that picture? How are you able to perceive that picture in a holistic manner? If I present in front of you the picture of mountains, okay, a scenery, mountains, lakes, everything, how are you able to perceive it? Are you able to process it? How are you able to process it? So simultaneous processing means perceiving the relations among various concepts in a meaningful manner. An example is given in the Raven's progressive matrices test. So RPM test. RPM is a test which is designed to help you measure your intelligence. Okay. So in this test, in RPM test, a design is presented in front of you. Okay. 6 examples are given. Out of these 6 pictures, you have to choose which option fits the best. So what are you doing in this? You are processing the information simultaneously all together in a holistic manner, and then you are understanding, okay, this picture fits in the best, right? In the given pattern. Now another type of processing is successive processing. So firstly, simultaneous processing is integrating concepts presented in front of you in a holistic manner, perceiving the relations among various concepts all together. एक साथ सब कुछ हम process कर रहे हैं, simultaneously process कर रहे हैं, and it helps you in grasping the meaning and relationship between given abstract figures. Now, successive processing takes place when you recall and remember information in a serial order. For example, I have explained you the recipe of cooking eggs, or cooking an omelette, or cooking maybe a salad. So, how you process this information step by step. Step 1, cut vegetables. Step 2, add the dressing. Step 3, stir, mix and mix. So how are you processing the situation, this information, step by step in a serial order? So simultaneous processing means that processing this information, whatever is presented in front of you, in a serial order. Okay, and why? Because whenever you'll remember this information in a serial order, the recall of one will lead to another. Remember, as like in childhood, we used to study the English alphabet A, B, C, D. So now, when you say A, B, C, D, automatically E, F, G comes in your mind, right? So that means that you have learned it, you have successively processed this information. Learning of digits, alphabets, multiplication tables, one 1s are 1, 1 2s are 2, 2 1s are 1, 2 2s are 4, just like that. These are examples, and this comes for a 1-marker question. Okay. Now the last feature is planning. Now you have been aroused, you attended to the situation, you processed it as well, either simultaneously or successively, or maybe using the both. Now you have to plan how to go forth with this. The planning is an essential feature of intelligence. Now, planning happens when you think about different courses of action. What can you do? How can you solve this problem? Think about it, implement different courses of actions, and make a firm decision. For example, I gave you an example of the your exams coming next week. So how are you making a timetable? I have you set some goals? Have you clarified your doubts? These are examples. Now, a very important note, very important point to remember is, and please mark it in your book for a 1-marker question. This can surely come. Okay. So this says that the PASS model operates on a knowledge base developed either formally or informally. So this PASS model develops on a knowledge base. There is a knowledge base inside you. Okay, there is a knowledge base. Now this knowledge base, you have knowledge. It is basically means कि PASS model work करता है आपकी knowledge के ऊपर. This knowledge you have either gathered it formally by reading, writing, experimenting in education, or informally by dealing with the environment. For example, there are so many businessmen who are not at all educated, not at all illiterate, but still they are so successful. So you can gain your knowledge base either by reading, writing, and experimenting, or informally. And these processes are interactive in nature. Attention, arousal, simultaneous, successive processing. These processes are interactive in nature and they are dynamic in nature. Yet they all have their own distinctive functions. Okay, so they interact with each other. If you are not getting aroused, you won't pay attention. If you are not paying attention, you cannot process the information. If you cannot process the information, you cannot plan. If you cannot plan, then what is the use of successive processing or simultaneous processing? So all are interrelated, yet each of them have a distinctive function of their own. Now, these two psychologists, J.P. Das and Chuck McLeary, these two psychologists who also worked on the PASS model, they also made a cognitive assessment system, basically a battery of tests. Now, what is a battery of tests? Basically, a combination of psychological tests, an aggregate of psychological tests is known as battery of tests. So, in a battery of tests, there are multiple different types of verbal, non-verbal, performance, etc. Different types of psychological tests combined all together. So Das and McLeary developed a battery of tests named as cognitive assessment system. Now, this cognitive assessment system, very important to remember, this consisted of both verbal and non-verbal tasks. What is verbal? Verbal is something that involves language. So verbal tests as well as non-verbal tests that did not involve language. Okay, and they were independent of schooling. That means that these tests, these tasks given in this battery, are independent of if you are studying in the school, if you are educated or not. Okay. This battery of tests was meant for individuals between 5 to 18 years of age. Very important to remember, 5 to 18 के बीच में ही सिर्फ individuals थे, उनके लिए meant था. And the results of this battery helped us find remedies for cognitive deficits of various children who had learning problems. So children with learning problems, maybe learning disorders, learning deficiencies, disabilities. These battery of tests and the results that came forth with this test, these tests help these children find their remedies, and these tests help these children in their overall development. Okay, so that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel, and you'll find the notes in the description below. Also, please do let me know if you have any doubts in the comment section. Thank you so much. Bye.